Now, Prince Harry has flown all the way from his Montecito home to Shanghai to appear at a sustainable travel summit. Now, this is a sustainable travel summit, so fans are questioning why he didn't just dial in remotely.
Yeah.
What do you make of this move?
Exactly that.
Flying 6,000 miles across the Pacific in a private jet, just to give a speech about sustainable travel. Sounds like a satire sketch, right? Except it's not. It's Prince Harry. At a time when climate urgency dominates global conversations, the optics of a royal zooming in from Montecito to Shanghai to talk about cutting emissions couldn't be more ironic. Critics are calling it tone deaf. The internet is laughing, and even staunch supporters are scratching their heads. When the message is green, but the method screams fuel guzzler, the contradiction becomes impossible to ignore. Welcome to the PR mess of the moment. SkyNews.com.au's Riley Sullivan didn't hold back when weighing in on Prince Harry's Shanghai trip. The royal flew more than 6,000 miles from California to attend a sustainable travel summit, a move that Sullivan dubbed pretty ridiculous. Speaking with Sky News digital presenter Gabriella Power, Sullivan questioned the decision to make such a long-haul flight for an event centered around reducing environmental impact. From a PR point of view, it looks ridiculous, he said. With climate conversations becoming increasingly sensitive, critics argue that Harry's actions undermine his message. The contradiction has sparked backlash and headlines for all the wrong reasons.
He was there for a tourism conference. He's involved in this. It's not a charity, but it's an organisation, Travelist, which is involved in
the eco-travel.
Eco-travel. So he got on his jet and racked up a few more air miles to get over to the...
A royal expert summed it up bluntly. Prince Harry flew to China in a private jet to talk about climate. The irony writes itself. In a world where carbon emissions are under a global microscope, even celebrities and public figures are expected to walk the talk. But Prince Harry's latest move felt less like leadership and more like a royal misstep. He could have joined virtually. He could have led by example. But instead, he chose the high emission route, literally. Critics argue that no matter how passionate or informed his speech was, the delivery method overshadowed the message. It's not the first time Harry's eco-messaging has clashed with his travel choices, and it likely won't be the last. For someone advocating sustainability, private jet setting across continents for a conference raises a fair question. Does the message still matter when the medium contradicts it so loudly? The backlash didn't stop at news headlines or Twitter threads. It flew straight into pop culture's most savage satirical machine, South Park. Known for pulling no punches, the cartoon unleashed a brutal takedown of Prince Harry in a now viral episode. In classic South Park style, the episode mocked Harry and Meghan for their contradictory desire for privacy while staying in the public eye, and now for their eco-hypocrisy too. The show depicted the couple on a whirlwind "We Want Our Privacy" tour in a private jet, waving banners about environmentalism while leaving a trail of pollution behind. Subtle? Never. Accurate? Many think so.
Did you notice that a certain Prince Harry flew from LA all the way to Shanghai to apparently promote greener travel?
In
Would
hot
you
air
believe
balloon, or did he fly in an aeroplane?
I think it was a jet, don't you, Tom?
Right, okay, well...
GB News didn't mince words. Their host opened with a sharp jab. Prince Harry flew from Los Angeles to China to promote greener travel. How ironic. It was the kind of line that didn't need much explanation. A 6,000-mile private jet trip to lecture others about sustainability struck many as peak hypocrisy. The irony was blinding, and the backlash was swift. Social media lit up with criticism, memes, and disbelief. Even longtime royal supporters raised eyebrows. While Harry's message about protecting nature was well intended, GB News highlighted what everyone was thinking. It's hard to preach green values while soaring through the sky solo. South Park wasted no time jumping on the irony train. In a savage parody, they portrayed Prince Harry and Meghan hopping aboard their cartoonish private jet, banners flying, screaming about climate change while trailing thick clouds of smoke. The China trip became comedic gold, Harry spouting eco-speeches mid-flight as fuel burned in the background. In typical South Park fashion, they exaggerated everything, but made a point many quietly agreed with. How can someone who talks endlessly about saving the planet justify such a carbon-heavy lifestyle? The episode didn't just mock the trip, it made Harry the punchline of a painfully public contradiction.
I don't want history to repeat itself. I do not want to be a single dad. And I certainly don't want my children to have a life without a mother or a father.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle famously stepped away from royal duties, citing the need for privacy and a more grounded life for their children. Harry expressed deep concern over raising kids in the royal spotlight, saying he didn't want them growing up without present, emotionally available parents. Their exit from the UK royal fold marked a seismic shift, not just for the monarchy, but for their public identity. However, since then, critics say the couple has paradoxically leaned more into the media, not less. From Oprah interviews to Netflix deals and international speeches, the call for privacy now feels selectively applied.
When they left the royal family, they very grandly, himself and Meghan, made a point of saying, we are never going to brief the media. We are not going to be like these people that we believe exist at the palace. Everything we're going to say is going to be on the record and open, attributable to a spokesman. And I would say that's exactly what they have not done.
Media experts have increasingly scrutinised the evolving relationship Harry and Meghan have with the press. Once vocal about their desire to step back and avoid the spotlight, the couple has done everything from sit-down TV specials to docuseries and book tours. As one commentator said, is it privacy they want or control of the narrative? Their messaging has shifted drastically, and with every appearance, the line between public figure and private citizen grows blurrier. The inconsistency has sparked accusations of hypocrisy, especially when they use massive platforms to air grievances, promote causes, and, ironically, request more boundaries from the media.
We want privacy! We want privacy!
Thanks for having us on the show.
It's so awesome to be here, it's great.
So let me start with you, Sam. You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, When? Yes, that's right.
South Park has never shied away from turning public contradictions into comedy, and Harry and Meghan have been frequent targets. Long before the Shanghai controversy, the cartoon roasted the couple in a viral episode that mocked their infamous We Want Privacy tour. Dressed in royal regalia, they boarded private jets, clashed with talk show hosts, and carried "Stop looking at us" signs while begging for attention. The satire was cutting because it reflected a public sentiment that the couple's demands for seclusion didn't match their media presence. The recent China trip handed South Park another punchline on a silver platter. A prince who gave up royal titles for simplicity, now flying thousands of miles to speak about sustainability. The cartoon doubled down on its earlier mockery, portraying Harry mid-speech in an eco-summit while standing on a mountain of burning jet fuel. Satire, yes, but a scathing reflection of growing public cynicism.
It seriously is driving me crazy. I'm sick of hearing about them, but I can't get away from them. They're everywhere, in my face.
Look, Kyle, we just kind of don't care about some dumb prince and his stupid wife.
South Park didn't hold back when it came to mocking Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. In one particularly brutal episode, they were outright labelled the dumb prince and his wife, sparking both laughter and controversy. The satire skewered their contradictions, their demand for privacy while constantly being in the public eye, their climate advocacy while flying private jets, and their overall public persona. The cartoon's irreverent humour struck a chord with audiences who felt the couple had lost touch with the values they claimed to champion. It was savage, exaggerated, and unfiltered, but for many, it was also uncomfortably accurate.
Don't let it be
1 month, 2 months, 3 months, hit the baby, come on when I'm stepping through the door. Yeah, I'm pregnant, but I gotta hit.
The couple's contradictions didn't stop with speeches and interviews. They made their way into personal videos too. One now viral clip shows Meghan, heavily pregnant, dancing with Harry in what appears to be a hospital room. Critics were stunned. The same couple who left the UK to protect their privacy willingly shared intimate, cringeworthy moments online. It raised eyebrows and questions. Was this a genuine celebration or another media move? Social media users were divided. Some found it sweet, while others called it tone-deaf. For a duo supposedly desperate to escape the spotlight, they seemed quite eager to stay in it.
I just want to squeeze in some vision that Harry and Meghan, you know, the former prince and princess or whatever, have put out. This is 4 years old, 5 years old, I think, and they've decided to share this. Oh, there they are. They're twerking. We won't play the audio. It's twerking, awaiting the birth of Lilibet. This is.
The Daily Telegraph's Tim Blair didn't sugarcoat his thoughts on the infamous Meghan and Harry dancing video. Speaking to Sky News' Chris Kenny, Blair described it as the dorkiest dancing I've ever seen, specifically zeroing in on Harry's stiff, awkward moves. Meghan, on the other hand, at least had rhythm, he admitted. But that didn't excuse what he saw as a blatant cry for attention. Say what you want about the indignity of it, Blair said, but Meghan's got some moves. Still, he argued the video symbolised the couple's growing desperation to stay relevant and curated in the public eye. What should have been a deeply private, cherished moment was turned into content, more footage to feed the public machine they supposedly ran from. For Blair and many others, it was yet another contradiction. Privacy doesn't look like choreographed delivery room dances. It looks like logging off. And that's not something this couple seems interested in doing.
This conference in China, but obviously that's sensitive. He's done it when the king is in Canada, but also I would say it's very interesting. I'd love to know more about why he's there. Is he forging new business links? You know, we know that he and Meghan are very keen to make a lot of money.
Amidst the backlash over Harry's speech in China, royal experts began questioning the true purpose of his trip. One expert bluntly stated, "We'd love to know why he was really in China. Was it just about green travel, or was it business networking behind the scenes?" The question lingers because the optics don't align. Flying thousands of miles in a private jet for a sustainability summit already looks hypocritical. But add the possibility of undisclosed business motives, and the narrative becomes even murkier. Some insiders suggest Harry may be forging partnerships or investments tied to his media ventures or eco-charity. Others believe he's positioning himself within global circles, outside royal duties, to maintain influence and relevance. Whatever the truth, the lack of transparency only fuels suspicion. The more he preaches one thing and does another, the more people begin to question not just his message, but his entire post-royal brand.
Why was he there? You know, this is one, from a PR point of view, it looks ridiculous to be fronting a sustainable travel summit and jetting in from Montecito all the way to China. It's like a 6,000-mile journey.
Talk TV didn't miss their chance to highlight the glaring irony behind Prince Harry's China visit. One reporter questioned bluntly, why was he there supporting green travel while flying in on a private jet? It's a fair point that preaching sustainability while racking up carbon emissions doesn't sit well with audiences, especially those genuinely invested in climate causes. The contradiction was so stark, it overshadowed the content of Harry's actual speech. Social media erupted with mockery, some calling it eco-theatre, others branding it elite hypocrisy. Talk TV's coverage suggested that Harry, for all his good intentions, keeps sabotaging his own credibility. And it's not the first time his and Meghan's lifestyle, from private security convoys to luxury homes, often clashes with the progressive, humble image they try to project. The lesson? In the age of viral clips and fast commentary, how you show up matters just as much as what you say. And Harry's jet-set activism isn't passing the smell test.
The stark truth is that global wildlife populations have declined by 73% since 1970. And with our coalition representing many of the world's biggest travel and tech companies, we are uniquely positioned to drive the change that we so desperately need.
At the Envision 2025 conference in Shanghai, Prince Harry took the stage with a grave message. Nature is in crisis. He cited alarming statistics, noting that wildlife populations have declined by over 70% since 1970. His speech urged governments, corporations, and travelers to take immediate, sustainable action to protect the planet. With passion and urgency, Harry reminded the audience that 80% of the global tourism industry depends on clean water, healthy forests, and thriving ecosystems. When forests thrive, we thrive. When water runs clean, tourism grows, he declared, emphasizing that environmental conservation isn't just an ethical duty, it's economic common sense. He called for unity, saying sustainability isn't a solo mission, but a shared responsibility. His keynote focused on balancing tourism growth with environmental stewardship. However, as heartfelt as his speech was, controversy followed. Critics pointed to the fact that Harry flew nearly 6,000 miles via private jet to deliver this climate-focused message. The irony was impossible to ignore. While his words struck the right chords about protecting the Earth, many felt they were overshadowed by his method of arrival. It raised a familiar question. Can a message about climate responsibility still resonate when the messenger doesn't lead by example? When it comes to satire, South Park doesn't hold back, and Prince Harry has found himself squarely in their comedic crosshairs more than once. The show has repeatedly mocked Harry and Meghan Markle for what it portrays as glaring contradictions in their public behaviour. In a particularly brutal episode, the couple was reimagined as two fame-obsessed figures who claim to want privacy while simultaneously demanding attention. The creators didn't mince words, referring to them as the dumb prince and his wife, highlighting what they see as the couple's hypocrisy and tone-deaf public persona. The China conference incident became fresh fuel. Harry flying halfway across the world in a private jet to lecture about green travel practically wrote the script for South Park. Their satire zeroed in on the absurdity. Imagine an animated Harry landing on a carbon-emitting rocket while holding a Save the Planet sign. That's the South Park formula. Exaggerate the contradictions until they're too absurd to ignore. Another mock episode even featured Harry and Meghan going on a worldwide privacy tour, showing up on every talk show, magazine cover, and news outlet while angrily yelling, "Leave us alone!" It was both hilarious and painfully accurate in the eyes of many viewers. The show taps into what critics and the public have long murmured. There's a disconnect between the Sussexes' words and actions. And in South Park's world, that disconnect is prime real estate for mockery. They amplify inconsistencies not just to provoke laughter, but to ask pointed questions through comedy. And while some see it as cruel, others argue it's a necessary satirical mirror. Because if you're going to fly 6,000 miles to talk about sustainability, or dance in a hospital room while asking for privacy, South Park is going to notice. And they're going to roast you for it.
The problem that Prince Harry and Meghan have created, which is it's very hard, I think, it would be very hard for any family to reconcile with and have private discussions.
Author and commentator Douglas Murray recently shared a sobering perspective on the strained relationship between Prince Harry and his father, King Charles, particularly as the monarch faces ongoing health challenges. Speaking with Sky News' Rita Panahi, Murray noted the emotional weight of the situation, pointing out that while the king battles illness, his second son remains notably absent. The king has been ill, and his second son is missing, and deliberately missing, he emphasised. Murray argued that the real issue lies in the toxic aftermath created by Harry and Meghan's public disclosures, ranging from the explosive Oprah interview to Harry's memoir Spare and multiple media projects, including the controversial Netflix series. How can the royal family have any private reconciliation with someone who might turn a heartfelt moment into a future media opportunity, he asked. Trust, Murray argued, has been eroded to the point of no return. With Harry regularly criticising his own family while simultaneously seeking acknowledgement, any path to mending ties appears incredibly fragile. In Murray's words, it's extremely hard to see a way forward when every conversation risks becoming content. It's not just a family matter anymore, it's a global spectacle with deep emotional stakes. If trust is the issue within the royal family, optics are the issue everywhere else, and Prince Harry's trip to China was a masterclass in poor optics. The Duke of Sussex jetted 6,000 miles across the globe to speak passionately about environmental degradation, wildlife decline, and the importance of sustainable travel at the Envision 2025 conference in Shanghai. His message, while valid and urgent, was immediately drowned by waves of criticism pointing out the irony. Preaching sustainability after flying in a private jet isn't just tone-deaf, it's hypocritical. It didn't take long for media outlets and social media to pounce. GB News highlighted the contradiction. Talk TV called it baffling. Climate advocates shook their heads. But perhaps no takedown was as ruthless and darkly hilarious as South Park's. The show has long targeted Harry and Meghan for what it views as their glaring double standards. In previous episodes, they mocked the couple for demanding privacy while appearing everywhere from magazine covers to talk shows. But this time, the dumb prince and his wife bit returned with sharp precision. The animated version of Harry likely soared into China on a cartoon rocket ship labelled Planet Saviour, only to be greeted with sarcastic applause and rolling eyes. South Park amplified the absurdity, exposing how the couple's actions consistently undermine their causes. From dancing in hospital rooms while asking for privacy to publishing tell-all books about private family moments, their contradictions have become comedic gold. The lesson? In a world hyper-tuned to public messaging, how you deliver the message matters just as much as the message itself. Prince Harry might care deeply about the planet, but when you arrive by private jet to talk about greener travel, even animated satire shows won't let you forget it. What do you think about Prince Harry's trip to China and the backlash it sparked? Is it fair or overblown? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more bold takes and royal drama breakdowns. Your voice makes the conversation rich.